Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Star Wars Jedi Academy Lore Run. Before we get started, I'd like to apologize. I haven't been feeling too well recently, so if I sound a bit gross, that's the reason why. But today we'll be doing two missions. We'll be doing emergency assistance on Bakura, and then merchant rescue on Blengeel. So let's hop into it. Officials from the planet of Bakura have requested our assistance. An unknown party has taken control of a power station up in the mountains. They sent a team to investigate, but they haven't reported in. Their concerns are twofold. They want to stop whoever has taken over the station, and more importantly, ensure that the station itself remains undamaged. The station is built over a dormant volcano, and if the facility is destroyed, the volcano could destroy a heavily populated city. The Bakurans need someone to infiltrate the facility and thwart the group's plans. Alright.
Kyle is currently away from the academy, but he will meet you on Bakura. Then the two of you can investigate the station. Be sure to wait for him before you do anything.
Now, I think at this point we should go Force Lightning. This power gets way overpowered later on. So once we max it out, which we are definitely going to do, I'll be using it kind of sparingly. But there are a lot of interesting qualities that Jaden Core's Force Lightning have. We'll talk more about them later, but one quality is it's unusually powerful for someone who uses both light side and dark side, but it's also incredibly unwieldy. Like, once he starts his Force Lightning, it's hard for him to control it. And we'll talk more about the reasoning and just more background on his Force Lightning as time goes on. I'm just going to take the usual weapons.
Where are you, Kyle? I've been waiting here forever. Well, I can't wait around. I've got to do something.
Now, for years, I've never realized that this isn't an X-Wing. I never really looked at it all that closely. This isn't an X-Wing, this is a Z95 Headhunter. And Z95s are pretty interesting for a couple different reasons. One, they are the precursor to the X-Wing. And they're used a lot by different mercenary groups and criminals and things like that because they're cheap and reliable. But they also played a pretty big part in the Rebel Alliance because of how cheap they were. They're not as maneuverable and they don't have as much firepower as the X-Wing, but they're incredibly resilient and reliable. And now, I don't mean by resilient, I don't mean that they're necessarily super strong in battle, but they're just a simple ship, so not too much really goes wrong with them. So whenever the Rebel Alliance couldn't afford an X-Wing, they would oftentimes commission a Z95 Headhunter. And they're a pretty cool ship. So here we are on Bakura, and as you can see, we already found one of our search party people that we're supposed to be looking for. Now, Bakura is actually a pretty interesting planet. The Truce of Bakura takes place, it's a novel that takes place literally the day after the Battle of Endor. At least the novel begins that day. And that's a novel I'd suggest reading just because of how well it transitions from episode 6 to the book. It's literally the step after episode 6. And that, of course, is a canon's novel. Or not a canon novel, excuse me, that's a expanded universe novel, and that came out in like 1993, so it's even older than I am. So it's going to be a bit hard to find, but I'm sure you can get it offline fairly easily. Now I'll talk more about Bakura in a second.
The charges are set, sir.
Good. The Republic is getting complacent. They underestimate us. This will remind them what happens to traitors. Right. Move out.
They're going to blow the whole installation. I have to stop that countdown.
It's the Imperial Revenant. Remnant. I don't know why I said Revenant. Don't run. Alright. Now, one of the most noteworthy things that happened during the Truce of Bakura is just what it sounds like. It's the first time that the rebels and the Empire formed a truce to one another. It didn't last long, but nevertheless it was a truce. And Bakura historically was an Imperial...
No wonder I was supposed to wait for Kyle. It's the Empire.
It was an Empire supporting planet. But the reason why Bakura was with the Empire is not for any sort of personal gain. It was really just to keep out of the way. It was for pragmatic reasons. They didn't want to piss off the Empire and, you know, risk their people's lives and stuff. So they just joined out of what they believed to be necessity. But nevertheless, they were very, very difficult for the Empire to work with. They rarely provided them with what they demanded. They were just very fickle. And so they always held a sort of resentment towards Bakura. And eventually when the Imperial Remnant, I keep saying Revenant, the Imperial Remnant started to get weaker and weaker, you know, closer towards you know, this time period, they eventually cut ties off for good. During the Truce of Bakura, I'm pretty sure they severed ties, but they're kind of more of a neutral thing. But, you know, towards this time, they're starting to openly oppose them, because, you know, they can risk it now, because they're not as powerful. But, where was I going with this? So yeah, basically they're doing this whole operation out of spite. Doing it out of revenge, basically. Now, there is a native species to this planet. They are called the Kurtzen, and they are actually a minority on this planet, despite being a native species. And the reason why they are a minority is because they have genetic problems. They don't reproduce as efficiently as most other species. Wow, did I really miss those? And they are one of the few races that are actually relieved when other species arrive to their planet and start inhabiting, because their technology was very, very underdeveloped. And they were really starting to feel the hurt. They were really lacking in medical technology, so once the humans started coming and inhabiting, they were very relieved. One of the few times that
Okay, 4 more to go.
native species was happy to have their planet inhabited by other people. They were a very shamanistic race, and they still kind of hold on to those traditions, if I remember correctly. And for that reason, they just never really developed their technology properly. And although they are very happy to finally have the sorts of technological advancements they need, they still don't trust droids. They just don't trust them. It's just a holdover from their culture. So a lot of jobs that the droids would normally do, the Kurtzen like to perform. Like different labor jobs and things like that. Whoa. I hope that wasn't one of the bombs they were supposed to defuse. I don't think so, but I hope not. Oh, I missed. Now in Truce of Bakura, Luke met a young boy named Dev Sabwara, and he was found to be really strong within the Force. And Luke had every intention of taking this kid as his first apprentice ever. And remember, this is just a day after Endor that this novel began, so it was probably not more than a few days after. And even if you haven't read the book, I think it's sort of implied that he doesn't make it to the end. He dies. But it's interesting to think that he could have been essentially the Kal Katarn of the New Jedi Order if he hadn't died. That's a book I have to reread again. I haven't read that book in a long time. That book's older than I am, and I remember I found it at a flea market for like 50 cents. It's really like the best place to get books. I rarely ever buy a new book. It's just better to buy them used, in my opinion. It's just cheaper. Like last Black Friday, it was the first time I ever went Black Friday shopping, and I went to a used bookstore. I got like 9 or how many books I get? I think it was 8 actually. 8 books for $20. That's pretty damn good. And some of those books I got were books that were so old, if you wanted to buy them, you have to buy them off Amazon for like $30. I'm not even exaggerating. It's a pretty good deal. eBay is a good place to get a bunch of books for cheap too. You could just type in like Star Wars novel lot, like LOT lot, and you get a crap ton of just random assorted Star Wars books for super cheap. And it's a good way to fill out your collection. Actually, I haven't read a Star Wars novel in a little while. I'm trying to think of the last Star Wars book I read was. It's been a couple months, actually. I haven't read any of the new stuff yet. The newer stuff, I mean. Like the stuff that's come out in the past couple months. Okay, I think we go this way. Yeah, again, I apologize for my voice. I'm just not feeling very well at all. Ooh, that hurt. We gotta heal up. Oh man, I walked right past this bomb.
Just 2 more left.
Oh, come on. Are you serious? That was stupid.
Just 2 more left.
Well, that's good. I was deflecting all these bolts like a boss, too. What is this room? This room really reminds me of, what was his name? From Power Rangers. I haven't watched Power Rangers since I was a little kid, for obvious reasons. Zorgon or something. I don't know what I'm talking about that, I'm sorry. But yeah, this room really reminds me of that.
Only 1 more.
Although that new Power Rangers movie that's coming out, that looks kind of cool. I mean, I really doubt it's going to be like a work of art, but still, I can't help but think it looks sort of cool. Alright guys, sorry about that. I had actually re-recorded this part because the game audio got, what's the word? Unsynced, I guess, from the gameplay. Not sure why that happened, but hopefully it doesn't happen this time. So, I got us right back to where we left off, the last bomb. Not sure why that happened. But, let's see, what was I talking about before, this happened? think I was talking about the Sea Rusk, or Sea Ruck rather. The Sea Ruck is the whole reason why the Empire and the Rebels had to band together for that short period of time. They were attacking Bakura, and if they managed to succeed there, they could have posed a serious threat to the entire galaxy. So the two were forced to band together. But in true Imperial fashion, the Empire actually betrayed the Rebels while they were working together towards the end. So it didn't last long, obviously, because eventually that leads up to the Thrawn trilogy. Oh, I killed that mouse droid. That was pretty sad. I don't remember exactly with what sort of weapon the Sea Rusk were using. I think it was some sort of weapon of mass destruction that had something to do with like mind control, or like it used a victim's mind to power the weapon or something along those lines. It's been a really long time since I've read that book. It's definitely one I have to reread. I think this is where the last bomb is. Yeah, hopefully the audio is in sync now, because if not, it's gonna put a problem on things for a while. There's the last one.
That does it. Better get back to my ship.
Back to Z95. Yeah, the Kurtzen are a pretty interesting race. It'd be cool if they were used more often, but that'd kind of go against the lore. They're a very rare race because of their reproduction problems I talked about before. So it kind of not makes sense to have them all over the place, because they're even rare on their home planet. That's one thing I have to say I am pretty disappointed with the new canon 4. They don't use, besides Rebels nailed that pretty good, but they don't use alien main characters very much in the new films, or even in the old films they really didn't. But I wish Disney would, nail that down. 'Cause it would be really cool to have some new races as main characters.
Sorry I never made it to Bakura. You seem to handle yourself okay, though.
Thanks, Cal. He just never decided to show up. I want to know what he's been doing. Probably, like, jumping to every space bar you can find and binge drinking or something. Yeah. Don't worry about your apprentice or anything. He only had to kill like 100 stormtroopers on his own. He did okay, though.
This is getting more serious. We have been receiving numerous reports of a Sith cult called the Disciples of Ragnos appearing all over the galaxy.
It's a good thing we have Luke, or else we wouldn't be learning anything. Alright, we're back for part 2. Merchant Rescue on Blengil. The Academy received a distress call from a merchant ship that crashed on the planet Blengil. They were pulled out of hyperspace when they crossed paths with an interdictor cruiser. The Imperials, apparently not wanting their presence known, fired on the merchant ship. The merchants managed to make it to the planet's surface and call for help. As far as we know, the planet is uninhabited.
This should be an easy assignment. I think you can handle it while Kyle is away with Rosh. Take a shuttle, land at the coordinates of the distress beacon, and pick up any survivors.
Yeah, good luck, Rosh. Alright. Let's get some more force healing going. Or force lightning, rather.
Nice work, Jaden. Some rescue mission. Hello? Hello? Hey, you there!
Thank the Force you've come. This place is...
What was that?
Alright.
Maybe I can find what I need in the merchant ship.
Now, I wish I had something to talk about for this planet, but this is the only time this planet appears in Star Wars. And it was made specifically for this very mission. It is basically a Tatooine ripoff. Well, it's Tatooine as in it's just a big sand planet. But obviously the objective here is to gather all the parts without being on the sand and getting eaten by the sandworms, which are basically just a ripoff of the movie Tremors. Actually, there's several Tremor movies. I think there's upwards of like 6 or 7 now. Yeah, this game was made in 2003, so Tremors was still kind of like
How am I gonna get over there?
a meme, almost. It was one of those movies that was so bad it was good. The first one was good in its own right. It wasn't meant to be taken super seriously, but
This energy
the other ones
station
were just
looks like
ridiculous.
a
Or you can only carry one part at a time. Damn it. I forgot. Makes things kind of inconvenient. Now I'm going to be trying to get through this map as quick as possible because I hate the noise the worms make because it's just constant. They never stop. It's super annoying. I wish you could kill them, but if they like jump out of the thing and you hit them with your lightsaber, shoot them, hit them with force lightning, does nothing. I think there's 2 or 3 on the map. I'm not exactly sure. So, just to kind of talk about something lore related. One of the other cool things about the Truce on Bakura is because it took place so closely after episode 6, excuse me. You really get the sense of all the different emotions and thoughts that Luke Skywalker is having after essentially killing his father. Well, I guess, he didn't kill his father technically, but you know what I mean. Like, having to face him and put him up to that ultimatum, where essentially he gave his life for Luke. And it's like an immediate thing too. It's not
should be compatible with my hyperdrive motivator.
like he literally starts talking about it the following morning, like after the huge celebration on Endor they all had. He didn't sleep at all that night, so it's literally the sunrise, and he starts like talking about how, or not talking, but thinking about how he feels and things like that. And it's really kind of interesting because we don't really get too much of that later on. Like, obviously, he makes reference to it all the time, and like stuff like Legacy of the Force and talking about it and the New Jedi Order stuff. But just to have like that raw emotion is cool. Yeah, I don't know why I said Luke killing Darth Vader. He didn't kill him. He defeated him. But ultimately, he put his dad up to the ultimatum of choosing him over the Emperor. And as a consequence of that, he died, so... It's still not fair to say that he killed him. But you know what I mean.
Should be safe here. This power converter should do.
Just want to break that glass. Yeah, I wish they would have picked a little bit more of a creative, maybe not creative, but more of a fleshed out world to have this take place on. Because it's literally just a sand world with worms. Just for the sake of this mission. Surely they could have thought of something better. But this is a pretty solid game. I can't complain for one kind of out of the way mission, especially since it's short. The last pieces. Let's see. Oh, I missed, but if I would have hit him, I would have done nothing anyways. Ooh, this is pretty risky. Is that the piece? Oh, okay, it's over there.
Just the power coupling I need for the acceleration compensator.
Makes sense. Pretty sure there's 3. Alright, so that was that. Jaden Core versus the Tremors. Next mission's a lot better.
Well, that should do it. Now to get off this crazy rock.
That's too bad about the merchants. Sounds like those sand burrowers must have gotten them all. Nasty critters. Glad you got back safe and sound. We'll let Coruscant know to mark the planet as hazardous.
Yeah, see, this whole world is basically just made for this level, as it's implied right here, and I double checked on that too.
Nicely done, Jaden. I think you're ready for the next stage of training, but there's still another mission left if you choose to accept it. Remember, every mission is a chance to learn more about being a Jedi.
Yeah, when you get a big batch of missions like this, you get the chance to skip the last one, I believe, or, you know, I think it's once you complete 3 or I'm not sure how it goes, actually. But I know after you complete a certain number of them, you can skip one of them, I think. I don't know. But I don't like to do that. I've never done that. I like to do 100% completion. So for next episode, it'll probably end up being a little bit shorter, but we'll wrap up with Cult Investigation on Corellia. And that's a pretty interesting level. So that being said, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for tuning in, guys, like always. And may the Force be with you.